you have one guy who, yeah, he's smaller, but he's a top fighter, he can punch, and he's fighting a guy who's not a top pro fighter, who's bigger.
I can see Tank just outboxing him and making it real easy.
Tank Davis is a violent human being. He's a savage. And he didn't feel in his element. It's a real thing. It's a real thing. If you're from the hood, you will know.
Boxing professionals from all corners of the sport are weighing in, and most agree that Jake Paul stands little to no chance of surviving against the ruthless precision of Gervonta Tank Davis. Shakur Stevenson, known for his sharp boxing intellect, broke it down with complete confidence. Despite Jake Paul's massive size advantage, Shakur insists it won't be enough to overcome Tank's experience and technical mastery. According to him, boxing isn't a game of who's bigger, it's about skill, rhythm, and control. Davis has spent his entire career mastering these elements. Shakur believes Tank's superior ring IQ will completely neutralize Jake's power and reach. He adds that Tank probably won't even chase a knockout because Jake's heavy frame will make him difficult to drop. Instead, Stevenson predicts Davis will dismantle Paul round by round, using movement, accuracy, and discipline to outbox him cleanly, securing a one-sided decision victory that proves levels in this sport truly exist.
Between these two guys.
I mean, size will play some part of the fight, but if I'm thinking like I'm Tank, I'm probably just gonna go out there and try to outbox him and use my knowledge and IQ against him. So I can see Tank just outboxing him and making it real easy.
Is there any way you could, any realistic or legitimate way in your mind you could see Jake Paul winning a fight against Tank?
No.
No way.
Nope.
Not a lot of people have talked about Jake and say he's got good power. Not even, and I get anything could technically happen, but you don't even see a realistic shot where he could land one big punch, and Tank being so much smaller, he just can't handle the power.
Nah, not at all. I think Tank is, he's been boxing his whole life. Been boxing since a kid, so I doubt like that's gonna be an issue or a problem. I think Jake is good for where he's at, but I think it's just levels.
Do you see a more likely chance that Tank wins by decision or by knockout?
By decision. I mean, that guy's too big. I don't think that he's just gonna knock that guy out. So I see him like outboxing.
Could you see a realistic possibility where Tank could knock him out, although more likely that it is, like you just said, a decision?
Nah, I don't see him knocking him out, no.
Will you watch Shakur? I mean,
no.
Obviously. No?
Hell no, nah, that ain't really like, I mean, like I said, here's the thing, like I got two sides of me when it comes down to it. I got a business side, then I got a competitor side, and from the competitive aspect, it don't excite me for me to be like, okay, I want to watch it.
Showbiz the Adult adds fuel to the discussion by reminding fans that Tank Davis has already defeated taller, longer, and faster opponents, Ryan Garcia being the prime example. He recalls that Ryan was not only physically bigger but also lightning quick, yet Tank adjusted mid-fight, found his distance, and ended it in spectacular fashion. Showbiz explains that boxing has never been about size alone. It's about distance control, timing, and intelligence inside the ring, all areas where Tank thrives. If Davis could close the gap against someone like Ryan Garcia, a naturally talented and experienced boxer, then Jake Paul, despite his muscles and size, will face the same fate. He elaborates that Tank's mastery lies in how he reads movement and sets traps. The moment Jake steps into the ring, Tank's ability to predict, counter, and execute will surface instantly. For Showbiz, this fight isn't about who's stronger, it's about who understands the science of boxing better.
Emotionally, see if he's rattled. See, when it's all said and done, the whole talking shit goes out the window. Jake's scared. And let me tell you this too. I looked at that, I'm sizing them up, I'm looking at Tank and Jake, and I'm looking at them. Tank can reach him too. He reached Ryan Garcia. He reached Mario Barrios. I was like, he ain't gonna be able to reach him. Tank's gonna reach him. He knows he's gonna reach him. Listen, I wanna say this too. Funny as hell. Before I say all this, Alicia Baumgardner, shout out to you, girl. I couldn't believe out of all the women to be the first one to do 3 minute, 12 rounds is Alicia Baumgardner. And I really know if I have a great endurance, great stamina, and she's doing this shit. Shout out to Alicia Baumgardner. Because, what's her name, Layla? I don't really know her like that. But she looks like she ain't rattled by Alicia, so that's a perfect dance partner for that. trying to drag Alicia Baumgartner into lake water, see what's going on with that. Shout out to Alicia Baumgartner. But let's get back to Tank. First of all, Tank knows what he's doing. Tank Davis, he said, you know, he was just making all these implications that it's going to be scripted. When he said, you're paying me, and then he was like, yo, you're going to have to give me extra, and then he said that this is scripted.
At the end of the day, I gave this little guy an opportunity. He should be thanking me. I'm paying him. I'm his boss. He reports to me, and I'm going to fucking son him on November 14th. So fuck you, little man.
You pay me? Are you paying me?
Yeah.
100%? 100%. Facts?
Correct.
Yes? Correct?
Correct. I'm your daddy.
Chris Algieri, former world champion and respected analyst, took the discussion in another direction, praising Gervonta Davis for his unique ability to capture the public's attention every time he fights. Algieri noted that modern boxing is no longer just about talent and belts, it's about who can draw fans and bring electricity back to the arenas. Tank, he says, has become the face of this new era. Every time he steps into the ring, he brings both the purists and the casual fans together. On the other hand, Algieri credits Jake Paul for reviving interest in the sport from a completely different audience, people who never watched boxing until Jake started fighting. In Algieri's eyes, both Tank and Jake are playing vital roles in keeping boxing alive. One represents the purity of the craft, the other represents the showmanship and spectacle that keeps new eyes glued to the screen. Together, they make the sport vibrant again.
The face of boxing could be Jake Paul soon. And the face of boxing is basically, the face of boxing now is based on if you sell and if people tune in and how many eyes are tuning in when you fight. Gervonta Davis had that. Jake Paul has that. Now they're fighting each other.
These are created products. These are still created products. Jake made his name going to Walgreens and making funny faces. You know what I mean? And it was just blowing up on YouTube and whatnot, right? I mean, that's how he started.
The world we live in now, dude. It's unfortunate. Okay, it's not like Sugar Ray Leonard, who was the best fighter in the world and marketable. It's not like Oscar De La Hoya, who was a gold medalist, a great fighter and marketable.
But what I'm saying is technology allows us to make, if I want to take this shoe off right here, and I say I want to make my Nike sneaker into the best product possible, and I got enough money to push it behind it. I put it all over your social media platform, and I put it all over your TV set and all over your phone and all over everything. You know what, bro? You're gonna start to get curious about the shoe.
Charleston White, never afraid to speak bluntly, dismissed Jake Paul's boxing career as entertainment dressed up as competition. He argues that Jake's fights don't carry the essence of real professional boxing. Instead, they're scripted exhibitions designed to generate headlines and sell pay-per-views. White expresses the frustration many old-school boxing fans feel that Jake Paul is using boxing as a marketing platform rather than respecting it as a craft built on years of discipline. In his view, Jake has never faced a true world-class boxer who could expose his technical limitations. Charleston insists that if Jake ever steps in the ring with someone like Gervonta Davis, the difference will become painfully obvious. Davis's reflexes, training, and championship pedigree would dismantle Jake's confidence within minutes. For White, popularity doesn't create legacy, real fights and earned victories do.
YouTube boxing and what people say is going on in the media, without a doubt, I think Charleston White is 100% right about that. Don't believe anything you hear, don't believe anything you see. Wait to see how things play out, and ultimately everything will come out in the wash. Well, going into this fight with Gervonta Davis, I had my concerns about the fight because of he's the same type of reasoning that Charleston White used, except for mine is slightly different. I don't think that either one of these guys are going to try to do too much damage to each other. Number one, because if it's scripted, which more than likely to an extent it will be, Gervonta Davis is not going to put himself in a situation where Jake Paul is going to actually be able to hurt him. And with these 12-ounce gloves on top of Gervonta Davis's hands, which is bigger, 2 ounces bigger, I do.
Veteran trainer and commentator Teddy Atlas drew an interesting comparison between this potential matchup and the exhibition bout between Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather. According to Atlas, Jake may have the physical size advantage, but Tank's depth of experience makes him the far superior fighter. Teddy described Tank as a ring dancer, someone who orchestrates every step with purpose. He said Tank's control of rhythm, pace, and timing allows him to manipulate opponents like pieces on a chessboard. Having faced countless dangerous punchers, Tank has developed instincts that can break down anyone regardless of their body frame. Atlas emphasized that boxing is not a contest of size, it's a test of precision, composure, and awareness. When Tank moves, every inch is calculated, and every punch has intention. Jake Paul, despite his progress, still lacks that sharpened awareness that comes only from years of top-level experience.
So I liked this when I heard it. No, I didn't like it, to be honest, for the optics and everything else I just said. But you do have one guy who, yeah, he's smaller, but he's a top fighter, he can punch. And he's fighting a guy who's not a top pro fighter, who's bigger. What if he hits him on the chin? What if he hits him on the chin? It'll wind up selling. And that's what it'll wind up selling. The what if. What if Tank makes him do a cha-cha? He hits him on the chin, and Jake Paul, we're going to find out if he can dance. Whoa, 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 whoa. You know, do the cha-cha. That's what's going to sell it. And you can't argue that what if. You can't. I know I get to places that other people won't go and everything else. They just dismiss stuff because it's easier to do that. It's safer to do that. You don't have to bows and arrows coming at you from people that argue with you because you did that. But I don't care. I've had bows and arrows my whole life. I don't care. But that's true. That what if? What if this guy who is a real good puncher, who is one of the best fighters in the world right now, what if he hits him? What if he makes a miss and he counters him? Or he jumps up in the air? Bang!
Showbiz the adult returned with another sharp observation, this time about Gervonta Davis's demeanor outside the ring. He admits that Tank may not be the most polished talker or businessman, but that's not what makes him dangerous. His confidence was forged in hardship, shaped by an environment where survival required toughness, not speeches. Showbiz explains that Tank doesn't need to talk tough, his body language does the talking. Whether it's a press conference or a stare down, he never looks intimidated or shaken. There's a quiet, almost chilling aura around him that communicates dominance without a single word. While Jake Paul thrives on promotion, clever marketing, and social media antics, Tank's energy is different, raw, authentic, and intimidating. As Showbiz puts it, Jake sells the fight, Tank is the fight.
Tank Davis is a violent human being. He's a savage. And he didn't feel in his element. It's a real thing. It's a real thing. If you're from the hood, you will know. It's kind of like taking a guy from the block and putting him in the corporate world in a business meeting. He's going to be so out of his element that he's just, you know, he doesn't even know how to argue without sounding like, I'm gonna whoop your ass, I'm gonna beat you. The way Jake was doing things, he had the clowns coming out.
However, not everyone sees the matchup as a one-sided affair. Some analysts are urging fans to stay realistic and consider the laws of physics. They highlight that Tank's power is devastating at 135 pounds, but against a man like Jake Paul, who walks around near 190 pounds, things could change drastically. These experts remind that weight classes exist for a reason. Even if Tank lands clean shots, Jake's heavier frame might absorb the impact differently. Reach, mass, and durability all shift the balance when a smaller fighter faces a naturally bigger opponent. In short, they're not questioning Tank's skill, they're questioning whether his usual tools will carry the same effect against a man nearly 60 pounds heavier.
All of a sudden, we want to know, who will win in this fight? Jake Paul or Tank Davis? It's a legit question. And I actually want to really hear your thoughts on who do you think is going to win. Because I know what Vegas is saying, but I want to know what you think. You got
Personally, I think Tank too little, bro.
Yo,
I think Tank too little.
I'm so glad you have a brain on your fucking shoulder.
I think Tank too little.
I said, bro.
I think Tank's too little. That's what I'm saying. At weight classes for a reason.
Davis
that weight class for a reason.
5'5", 135 pounds. Jake Paul is 6 feet, 205 pounds.
That's what I'm saying.
Bro.
He's too
6'1",
little.
205. Everybody's like, yeah, bro, but Tank it only takes one good punch. Yes, it takes one good punch when you're about the same size. There's a 60, 70 pound difference in weight in these people. I don't think nobody puts the physics in mind. Jake Paul gets punched in the face by dudes 200 pounds with all their might on a weekly basis. 135 pound puncher, bro. If y'all remember the Mayweather versus Conor McGregor fight, Conor walks around like 180 on the regular. He's like 5'9", 180. Mayweather's like 5'7", 145. That 30 pound, 20, 30 pound difference, bro. If you remember that fight, Mayweather was putting mittens on Conor. Guess what happened to Conor? He didn't hit the ground once.
No.
He lasted all 12 rounds getting hit with flurries. I'm talking about Mayweather was having his time. He's being cocky with it, hitting him with all kind of combos. And we're watching the last 3 rounds of that shit like, yo, knock him out. And you know what? He could not knock him out because Conor gets punched by people that are 170, 180 pounds on a regular. And just that 20, 30 pound difference, it was like impossible for him to do anything. And that's exactly what I feel like is going to happen versus Jake.
Despite all the debate, fans can't deny the entertainment value Jake Paul brings. His presence divides opinions. Some see him as a fraud, others as a revivalist. Regardless, every time Jake's name is attached to a fight, the world pays attention. This potential clash with Davis has sparked both outrage and excitement. Purists call it a spectacle, casual fans call it entertainment. Yet, both sides watch. Jake has mastered the art of curiosity. People tune in not only to see if he can win, but also to see him finally lose. In that unpredictability lies the magic. Even traditional fans admit that Jake has added drama that boxing sorely needed: rivalries, controversy, and a spark that makes every event feel alive again.
A lot of people said, this is bad for boxing, this is bad for boxing. Mate, calm down, calm down. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of him, but he's bringing a lot of eyes to boxing. A lot of eyes to boxing. He's doing great for boxing. I don't care what everyone thinks. The weight difference is mad though. Lightweight to, God knows, cruiserweight or whatever the hell he is. Oh, Gervonta might get thumped up, you know. Hey, if he gets bashed up, I can never go on TikTok live again. The TikTok warriors are going to give me a hard time. They're going to say Jake Paul's undisputed. Oh my God, he's the best thing since sliced bread.
British heavyweight Dave Allen offered a more balanced take. While he openly disliked Jake's fights with Mike Tyson and Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., calling them publicity stunts, he admitted that a fight with Tank Davis at least offers intrigue. Allen stated that as long as it's safe and no one gets hurt, it's fine. After all, exhibitions are meant to entertain. He acknowledged Jake's work ethic, saying Paul trains seriously and isn't terrible for his experience level, but he's still far from world class. For Allen, this fight isn't about championship glory, it's about spectacle and curiosity. He sees it as an experiment. How far can Jake really go, and how will Tank adjust to someone that much larger? Still, Allen made it clear he wouldn't pay to watch it, calling the concept farcical, especially when Davis is in his prime and could be chasing real legacy fights.
An exhibition. Thing with Jake Paul, I think he's a good area title level fighter, and that's a good level. Like, you need to be proud of it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's good. But the Mike Tyson fight I didn't like. The Chavez fight was just farcical because he's 10-11 years past his best, up 6 weight divisions. But less of a problem because Chavez wasn't in his 50s. Fighting the MMA guys, again, he's fighting people that don't do the same, that they're not even in the same sport. But while they're a bit older, they're still not in the 50s. So all that stuff, I won't really watch any of it. I think I've watched one fight against Tommy Fury, the only professional boxer in and around his prime years, and he got beat. But I think his area title level, I think he works really hard, I think he trains hard, and I don't think he's a bad fighter at all. I don't think he's I don't think he's a good fighter, but he's not a bad fighter. His experience, he's not bad at all. But Gervonta Davis is a lightweight. So, by all means, if they make a few quid and nobody gets hurt, then great. But I certainly wouldn't be paying a penny to watch it. I think it's just absolutely ridiculous, farcical. Who wants to watch an exhibition? Gervonta Davis is in his prime years. Why is he wasting his time? Why is he having a rematch for the fella he got a draw with? Why is he not fighting?
Continuing his thoughts, Allen broke down Jake's career further. He admitted that Jake's best performance came against Tommy Fury, the only legitimate boxer he faced, and even then, he lost. The rest, in Allen's view, have been glorified exhibitions against retired athletes or MMA fighters. He called Jake an area-level boxer, not terrible, but not elite. Allen respected Jake's dedication and fitness, but stressed that fighting Tank Davis, a prime lightweight world champion, makes little sporting sense. If they make a few quid and nobody gets hurt, great, he said, but it's ridiculous. Who wants to see a prime champion waste his time on an exhibition?
Yeah, you're seeing what I'm seeing. Tank Davis versus Jake Paul. I don't buy it for a second, but apparently they were in negotiations to have this fight happen if Tank Davis beats his previous opponent, which obviously ended in a draw. Which means he's obviously going to go and rematch Lamont Roach in his next fight. But come on, Tank Davis versus Jake Paul. Jake Paul is a cruiserweight / heavyweight. Tank Davis is a lightweight. This is Jake Paul's mindset. Okay, I'll fight a legit professional boxer, OAP. I'll fight a legitimate professional boxer who's his age, loses. Okay, I'll fight another professional boxer who's half his weight. Honestly, I don't care how big Jake Paul is, I genuinely do think that Tank Davis would beat Jake Paul. I think Tank Davis would be too fast, too slick, outbox him, move around. He wouldn't knock him out, obviously. I don't think he'd knock him out because of how big Jake Paul is, but he would outbox him 100%. But anyway guys, let me know what you guys think about this potential fight. I really hope it does not happen because Jake Paul needs to fight a legitimate pro who isn't a taxi driver, who isn't old, and isn't half.
Interestingly, this fight wasn't born out of nowhere. Reports reveal that Gervonta Davis had teased Jake Paul's name multiple times over the years, hinting that he wouldn't mind shutting him up someday. Over time, those playful callouts turned into genuine talks. Both fighters have traded jabs on social media, building anticipation until fans started wondering what if it actually happens. For Tank, it's about showing the difference between a real boxer and an entertainer. For Jake, it's another chance to prove he belongs in the same ring as legitimate champions.
Because yes, Floyd didn't have the punching power Gervonta had, but even if Gervonta lands, I don't see him hurting Jake to the point he knocks him out. So what are we even doing? Where's the idea of this where's the idea that Gervonta's even gonna hurt him? He may hurt him to the body, whatever. Jake doesn't want to throw as much, but I don't see him one punch knocking Jake out. And, the same thing was kind of said with Logan. Like, okay, Floyd probably won't knock him out, but probably going to outbox him. I get where Dana's coming from. These things are not meant to be competitive fights. They're meant to make money and to, I guess, scratch that itch of the circus mystery unknown.
And Gervonta, I think, hits way harder than fucking Floyd, but he's too small. I mean, your brother's going to be able to, get inside on him, put his weight on him, tie him up. But I don't hate your brother. Your brother's out there doing his thing. But it cracks me up that they want to start suing people that are talking shit when your brother talks more shit than anybody talks.
I think the thought process behind it is, okay, so Jake and I are obviously pretty polarizing individuals, and when an echo chamber starts and a rumor mill starts of like staged fight bullshit, which like these fights aren't staged, that's just, it's at that level, it's like almost impossible. I think they think that it affects the business and it affects the brand because people discredit him as actually having legitimate bouts. I think that's the theory. So to hold people accountable for
legitimate
perpetuating
meaning,
the rumor.
Legitimate meaning not fixed.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. And
which is, I mean, again, Dana would do the same thing if his company became known for doing fixed fights when they weren't. Then he would try to find the same way to hold people accountable if they were reputable people saying that, right? So the whole Jake suing people for blatantly trying to say he fixes fights or he stages fights or people have no knockout clauses and all the other bullshit, I understand. Now again, people need to use their words more accurately if they're upset about what Jake is doing. All you have to do if you're upset with the way Jake is moving in his career is say what some people do say, which is we like to see Jake challenge himself. We don't want to see these exhibitions, these fights that don't make sense for what you said you want to do or what you purport to want to be in the sport of boxing, which is a world champion. We want to see you fight active fighters around your skill level. That's it. But you can't go on there and go, oh, look, another rigged fight. Oh, look, another fake fight.
Analysts have also dissected one key question: will Tank's power carry up in weight? At lightweight, his knockout ratio is terrifying. But against someone nearly 200 pounds, physics becomes a real obstacle. Experts explain that a punch that drops a 135-pound opponent might barely shake a man 60 pounds heavier. Jake's reach, frame, and resistance could make Tank's power less effective. Still, none of them doubt Tank's skill. They simply believe that against Jake, Davis might have to win differently, through strategy, not destruction. And that concludes today's analysis. The debate rages on: is this matchup pure entertainment, or is it another step toward the future of crossover boxing? Whatever side fans fall on, one thing is certain: the world will be watching when Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul finally share the same ring.